Hey everyone, it's Zara and I'm back to film my reading journal for the month of November. So first things first, we have my reading tracker. I did read every day in the month of November. So doing good there. That was one of my goals for the month. And then moving into an overview of what I read 10 books this month. Granted, 6 of them were short stories, but still 10 is 10. And my favorite book for the month was The Expectant Detectives. And then looking at when I was reading things, when I was reading all of the short stories, there were a lot of days that I read multiples. There were a couple that I finished just in one day because they were, 50 pages or so, but pretty good reading month overall. I mostly read on my Kindle or a physical book, and then just one day of reading an audiobook that we started on a road trip at the end of the month. I did get a bingo and I completed most of my goals for the month, reading every day, reading 10 books, and then I wanted to read 2 books of the month. I only read 1, but goal is to, get caught up on some of the ones that I've purchased and just haven't finished or started yet. And then my Bookopoly, I didn't really finish. The brown cover is the one that I need to finish. I did buy a book. I have plans to donate a book. I checked it off because I know what one I'm going to donate. I just need to get to a free library or, put it in a Goodwill box or something like that. And then these were all of the books that I started. I finally took Drums of Autumn off my list. I'm just going to put it as a DNF for now. My plan is to restart it in January just because I don't think I'm going to have time to finish or, read the book very closely in December because December's going to be busy. So hopefully in January I'll be able to pick it back up, really put some focus into it, and then, since it's the beginning of the year, not be worried about how long it takes me to read that, giant book. And then I started Twilight and the Minor Adjustment Beauty Salon, but we didn't finish that in November. Those were both finished in December. So then moving on, I have my Goodreads tracker from the Shelfie Chronicles. And as you can see, I read, a lot of books on my Kindle just because all the short stories were on the Kindle, and I think I had another one maybe on the Kindle as well. So a couple of physical books, a lot of Kindle books this month. And then comparing my months, my reading to other months, I read, not a ton of pages because I was reading a lot of the short stories, but I did read 10, so kind of in the middle. So getting into what I read. First up, I had Goblin. And Goblin is a collection of short stories. I've read another book by this author, Josh Malerman, and he's like a horror, writer. And I don't know, I enjoyed it. I liked that they were short stories, so they were kind of easy to get through. There were some that I enjoyed more than others. Goblin is obviously this kind of creepy town, so all of the stories had kind of a creepy vibe. There was kind of lore about the town mixed into the short stories. So, enjoyable. I think there were probably like 3 stories I enjoyed a lot. There were 3 that I didn't enjoy as much, which is part of the reason why I gave it a 3-star rating. And then there's kind of this bookended, not a short story. It's like the intro and the conclusion that kind of help tie everything together a little bit. But I also found the ending confusing, which in some cases it's good because it makes you think. And then there's other times where I'm like, I just don't really know what I quite read. And I think I was more on the, what did I quite read? Like what did that ending mean? So not my favorite, but I enjoyed reading it, and it was a good kind of Halloween time frame read, just to read something different out of my wheelhouse. Then I have The Good Girl. I didn't really like this one. So this one I've read other Mary Kubica books as well, at least one, and I enjoyed what I had read previously more than this one. So in The Good Girl, you have Mia, and she gets kidnapped by this man named Colin and taken to a rural cabin in Minnesota. And that wasn't the original plan. Originally, Colin was going to kidnap her like for someone else and then like drop her at the set drop location. But then he kind of gets cold feet about the situation, gets worried, I don't know, and then decides to just like take her to this rural cabin and just kidnap her on his own. It just didn't really make sense in my brain. Yeah, it really, so from the start, I was kind of like, huh? And then, they're in this rural, winter cabin with, very few resources and, no one around. And so, they're also kind of like fighting the elements to try to stay alive. And I don't know, I just didn't understand the characters. I didn't like them. And then like Mia's family, I hated. I really didn't like a lot of the characters. And then I didn't understand a lot of the characters. So I only gave it 2 stars. It probably could have even been 1, honestly. But unless I like really, could not stand the book, I'll give it 1. I don't know. So I gave it 2. That was maybe generous, but I just didn't like this book. So then moving into all of the short stories. So this was a collection that I believe Amazon Publishing released in like February timeframe for Valentine's Day. So these are all a Valentine's theme. They also just released, I don't remember if it was like 4 or 5 for Christmas time that I hope to read in the month of December. But these were just a collection of fun, kind of Valentine's Day romance novels or short stories. So most of them, like I said, 101 pages, but most of them were probably around 40 pages or so. So definitely not a lot to read. And then since I have a Prime account, even though I don't have whatever Amazon's book services, I was still able to, check these out for free and read them with my Prime account, which was nice. So I won't get too much into these because obviously they're not very long. I can't tell you too much about them without spoiling it. My favorite were the first 2. The rest were kind of mid. But the first one I have is The Exception to the Rule. This one was super cute. It was told in a lot of emails to begin with, because the story starts off with someone sending an email to the wrong person on Valentine's Day. It's for like a school assignment, and the person replies back saying that, sorry, you have the wrong email address, try again. And then, and then they wish each other happy Valentine's Day. And so then it kind of turns into a yearly tradition where they email each other happy Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day, and just throughout the years kind of learn a little bit more about each other. And I really liked it. I thought it was cute. I liked the pacing of it. It was great. So next we have The Worst Wingman Ever. This one, kind of a similar vibe. Woman returns to her car on Valentine's Day after working as a nurse, and finds a Valentine's Day card on there that was not intended for her at all. And then, it leads to an exchange of letters and notes back and forth when the person that put the letter on the wrong car, realized his mistake and, apologized. And so it kind of turns into, again, like notes back and forth, good deeds back and forth for these 2 people. Then I had Rosie and the Dreamboat. Rosie and her sister go to a spa for Valentine's Day, kind of girls' day, and things go wrong. and Rosie ends up getting stuck in one of the machines, one of those, like where it blocks out all the noise and the sounds and the, you know, you're supposed to just kind of float and relax, one of those chambers. So she gets stuck in this chamber, and, you know, gets to talking with the, like, I think he's a firefighter that is gonna break her out of there. So that one is Rosie in the Dreamboat. Then we have Drop, Cover, and Hold On. This was probably my least favorite. I gave it 2 stars. Yeah, this one wasn't my favorite. And 2 stars might be generous again. But you have an earthquake that happens, and you know, 2 people get stuck in a bakery together. You know, nothing too crazy, but yeah, like the grumpy baker and then the, you know, girl that likes to eat at the bakery. I don't know. It was a little bit off the mark for me. Then we have With Any Luck. So in this one, the groom goes missing on his wedding day, and his, like, I can't remember what he calls her, but basically his, like, you know, the groom's maid of honor, like the groom's best friend, who's a girl, she is in charge of, or, you know, she's trying to figure out what happened at his bachelor party the night before, and then, like, where did he go? Because she also has this curse where she's the person you kiss before you find, you know, your true love. So then she gets to worrying about, like, did we kiss? And so, you know, essentially trying to find him to save the wedding. Then we have Royal Valentine, and this one was, you have a princess who swaps places with her assistant so that she can have, like, a weekend in Rome without all the security, to try to, like, you know, go incognito and just kind of be a normal person, you know, for the weekend. And, you know, she ends up meeting someone. So those were, I can't remember what the collection was called. I think it was like, I don't remember what it was called, but like I said, it was just a collection of short stories that Amazon had released. So overall, enjoyed them. Like I said, started better, you know, and then it kind of dropped off. Like, if you're just only interested in reading the best ones, these are the 2 I'd recommend. Then I read Phantasma. This was one of my book of the months from, I think, September is when I got it. And this one was actually really good. I gave it 4 stars. My best friend gave it 5 because we always get the same book of the month. So with Phantasma, you have Ophelia as the main character. She's a necromancer, which means that she can, you know, speak to the dead or see ghosts, that kind of thing. And after her mom dies, she inherits, you know, the family powers, because I guess it passes from one person to the next. And after her mom dies, they find out that their mom was in a lot of debt, and they didn't know about it. She didn't tell them. And so her sister decides to enter into this competition called Phantasma, and essentially it's this, like, you know, get your life's, or, you know, greatest wish, or, you know, get whatever, you know, you want if you win this competition. But it's like a last man standing. You either die or forfeit, you know, in this competition. Only one person can win. And so, and it takes you through the 7 deadly sins. So, you know, like greed and lust and things like that. So each night is a different competition, but they lock you up in this, you know, big, beautiful mansion. And, you know, there's ghosts and demons and devils and things like that. There's a lot of different, like, kind of mythical beings that run the competition or take part in the scares and things like that. So anyways, I really liked it. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. You know, kind of how each you know, little segment was kind of broken up. You got, you know, each day of the competition, you got the in-betweens when they're recovering from the competition. But Ophelia basically follows her sister into the competition. They're not in the same group, so they can't see each other until they make it so far in the competition. But Ophelia enters into the competition to try to get her sister to forfeit and let her take her place. So I thought this one was good. I think there's a second one that either came out or is coming out that follows the sister. I don't know if I'll read that one. Ophelia was definitely my favorite of the two characters, but an enjoyable read, especially for, again, kind of that spooky fall season. Meant to read it in October, but November was better late than ever. And then last up I have The Expectant Detectives, and this one was my favorite for the month. Even though I guess my only 5-star was a short story, I didn't want to put that as my favorite book of the month. Just because, it's a short story, there's a little less to flesh out, I guess. So even though I gave this one 4 stars, this was the one I picked as my favorite book for the month. Partially because it was really fun. It was different. I enjoyed it. Every time I picked it up, I enjoyed reading it. Also too, it just when a book hits at the right time. I'm currently pregnant, and so this one was just a fun book for this, time, I guess. I could relate to a lot of the humor in it. So Alice and Joe move from London to this small town, in the countryside, English countryside. And they're, she's just a few weeks away from giving birth. And so they're trying to get settled in their new town, trying to make friends. And then they're taking this childbirth class, obviously, because they want to, be ready when baby arrives. And so this childbirth class takes place on the 2nd floor of a kind of like an herbal shop, kind of almost like an apothecary type shop. And this town that they're in is kind of a little bit frou-frou in terms of there's a commune, out on the edge of town, where they, grow all their own food and, everything's all natural. And there's a lot of that kind of vibe with a lot of the town's people and characters in there. But anyways, they're at this childbirth class, and the shopkeeper downstairs gets murdered. And so obviously everyone that's in this childbirth class becomes a suspect because they were right upstairs when it happened. Not everyone was in the room the whole time. And so to kind of clear, each other's, names, she and the other moms, or soon-to-be moms from the group, start investigating in their free time, because what else are they going to do till they give birth? I enjoyed it. I just thought it was funny. It was, kind of a cozy mystery, nothing too scary. I just enjoyed it. Like I said, kind of hit the right place at the right time, the right vibes. There is another book that I want to pick up. This one I just found at my local used bookstore. And then I tried looking it up, the second book at my library app, and they don't have it. So probably one that I'll just end up buying and reading, in the next couple of months, because I enjoyed it enough to read book 2. But anyways, that was everything I read in the month of November. Like I said, getting close to the end of the year, hoping to wrap up a few books that have been on my list all year. I also will be setting up my reading journal for 2025. So that'll probably, I don't know if that'll be the next video you see or if it'll be my December reads, but those 2 videos will be coming near the end of the month, or, beginning of January. So yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching. Hope you've been reading something good on your shelf, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye now.